Hi BookTube, it's Stephanie. Today I'm going to do a follow-up for my goals that I posted at the end of last year. I don't think I posted them this year. Whatever. So this is a follow-up, and I will also show and share some statistic right next to me that I just thought was interesting for myself. Now I'm filming this with +1 book, so, and I don't care to remove that one book to fix the statistic part, so whatever. But the numbers that I actively say when I go through the goals and where I was at the last of April, they will reflect the real numbers. It's more when I show you the graphs and things that it won't really be correct. Whatever. So the first goal that I had was that I wanted to read 52 books for the year, and at the end of April I was at 37, so I'm well on my way there. This was not a goal that I was really worried about or anything, so. And then I had the Around the Year in 52 Books challenge, and for that I was up to 25 books. So almost halfway, and I'm in third through the year, so do I have to do math all of a sudden? Like 16, 17 books I should have been at, so pretty darn good, according to myself at least. My friend has 10 left, which is so unfair, but then we had the goal where I wanted to read some more sequels, and I'm up to 9 of 10 that I should have been this so far, and yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. I did actually get kind of worried at the end of March, I think, because I hadn't reading slump in March, and then I was worried, will I feel like I have to cram in a lot in April? And it turned out that I did read a lot of sequels in April, but I didn't really feel like, oh, I'm cramming them in to be able to succeed in my goal of 10 after 4 months, so that's good. I basically thought that this goal would be way easier than it apparently was. So let's go into some of the more, well, crap. First one being Storytel. My goal was to finish one Storytel book per month. I'm currently reading or listening to number 3, and I should have been starting number 5. So yeah, not exactly really pleased. However, I didn't have any problems with the non-fiction astrophysics for people in a hurry, so I think that my next one that I'm listening to will be another non-fiction. I am enjoying the middle grade I'm currently listening to, but yeah, I will see how that goes, and since I'm currently working 2 days a week, I should be able to spend some time doing that. Then we have my Goodreads challenge for 2011. Wow, I am disappointed in myself. I didn't really think that I would be finished by now with the first year, but I'm finished with 2 books, and I'm currently, that's the one I'm listening to, and yeah, I finished it in the first one I finished in the middle of March. Yeah, I'm not too pleased with that, but yeah, I didn't put the time limit on it really, but I did, and maybe I will succeed. I did have my hopes up that I would finish how many? I will finish 2011 and 2012 this year, but we'll see. But at least I'm currently in the middle of one of them. So yeah, I'm slightly disappointed in that I haven't gotten further in it, but at least I have started it and I'm trudging along again. That's my favorite term today, apparently. And then we come to the last like big goal, and that was that I should, for every book that I buy, I should read 2. Yeah, I'm not really that proud of this one. Definitely March did not help, because at least before that, in January I read 9, and I bought 5 and got 2 from Illumicrate, so that's 7. In February 10, then it's 4 and 12 for March, and for April it was 14 that I read, and I got in 5 books. So the stats are basically that I read 37 books and I purchased or got 34. And basically my goal is that if I divide how many books I've read with how many books I've acquired, it should be 2. It's 1.08823, etc. Yeah, I don't really know, because I don't like the idea of forcing myself to not buy books. But one thing that I started to do as I flipped through my wonderful handy dandy, what's it called, bullet journal, I started to write up the books I purchased, and of the ones I purchased I read 2. So I feel like I should focus a bit more on reading the ones that I purchased this year, or try to be like, well, I need to read it almost immediately. But yeah, that's basically it, because the books that I have read that I own have definitely been books that have lived on my shelf for a little bit, not from this year, which in a way is really good, but I need to read the books that I purchased, basically. So things will be a little bit more white now, because I need to be able to look at the Excel file that I have, and I'm using the one from Book Riot, and then I have added on some things that I thought were interesting and that I wanted to follow up. For instance, what continent the books that I read come from, because there were one for countries, but I wanted a continent as well. But the first one that I was thinking about sharing is one that I thought it was kind of interesting, because I do have one of the graphs is fiction and versus non-fiction, and for that I have 5 non-fiction, and the rest of the books are, well, if we go percent, it's 13% non-fiction, and I really want to increase that number. I enjoy reading non-fiction, so that's definitely something that I want to work on. However, then there's a category called form, and for that I actually have 6 books as non-fiction, and the reason for that is because, for instance, poetry, I categorize that as non-fiction, but in the form category it has its own category, so it's non-fiction there, but here it's set as poetry. And then I also have the picture books, or the novels by Simon Stålenhag. They are like fictional memoirs, so I have categorized them as fiction but non-fiction in this. I might change my mind later on, but that's how I've done it so far. And when you look at that, I have increased, oh, there we go, zoom in, 30%, it's 29% comics, graphic novels and manga. I'm pretty happy with that. I do enjoy reading that. That does affect how many pages per book I end up reading, but that doesn't really bug me too much. Then we have genre. Fantasy is the biggest chunk. After that we have sci-fi, and then there's general fiction, which is like contemporary or stuff like that. And then I also have mystery crime, which is the 3 Agatha Christie novellas that I've read. But yeah, fantasy, hands down, my favorite genre, followed by science fiction. So if we go to Booksource, this is the one that I'm kind of like, oh, and 2/3 is from the library. That's the big orange slice, and that one does actually not really feel that good. However, when I have looked through the other spreadsheets that I have had the other years, the beginning of the year has always been very heavy with the library books. This year it hasn't been this, I don't really want to say bad, because it's good that I read library books, but again that means that I don't read the things that I purchase and the books that I have on my shelves. But yeah, that's yeah. So yeah, I did mention page count earlier, so I'm just gonna put that one up now. Yeah, the graphic novels, mangas and comics definitely show here in the fact that I have read 11 of those, and then it slopes down. But yeah, that's what happens when you really like manga and you like graphic novels and things like that. Then I have a graph for publication year. A lot of the books are from the last couple of years, and those 2 loners from 2011 for my challenge. But a lot of books are from 2016 for some reason, and then like 2019 as well. Yeah, I'm behind. So I definitely need to read some of the books that I bought that came out this year. Star rating, most of the books are 3.5 stars actually, followed by 4 stars. I think that's pretty good. Shows that I actually enjoy most of the books that I'm reading. And then I either really like them or it's like, oh, 2 stars. But yeah, that's a fun one. And then if we go if we go to where the books come from, this one, the biggest pie is United States. The way I divide where the author is from depends a bit on the author, but if you are born in the United States and you've grown up your entire life in the United States, I will put you as United States on my spreadsheet. It's as simple as that. Of course, if you're born in the United States but then you lived your entire life in the UK, then I'm gonna put you at UK. One here I know is Russia, and I put that at Russia because it's the Alona Andrews, the husband and wife duo. She comes from Russia and she's born and raised and have lived for many years in Moscow, and since I did not want to put another one at United States, I put it at Russia. But the graph that I'm kind of like mostly disappointed in is the one from Continent, and the full pink slice here, that's North America. And yes, North America is also Canada and Mexico, and also the Caribbean, many of the Caribbean islands, but that's almost 50%. I would have preferred it to be Europe because I live in Europe. And that would mean that I read more like books from Sweden or like Europe, even though most of them so far has been from UK. But I'm not too happy about this, to be frank. So I need to definitely, I don't really want to force myself to read books just to fix a statistic, but definitely having this huge pink pie, I need to pick up books from the rest of the world, and I definitely need to get some African and South American pieces in there because they are not even represented. Yeah, I definitely need to fix that. And the last one that I wanted to share, because I found this one I was really surprised by, and that's the author-artist gender. This one really surprised me. Now, I did finish one book, so the male section has one extra, but basically, if we go by what it is today, it's 19 male and it's 17 females, and then unknown is 1. Really? I think that's incorrect. I will double check later on. But like, that's almost 50-50 when it comes to male and female. I was convinced. So I'm like, when I looked at this after a while, I was shocked because at that point it was exactly 50-50. I have not looked at this. I never look at what gender a person who has written a book is, because I find that to be sexist. I do. It's one thing to feel like, oh, I only seem to read books by male authors or female authors. Let's be real, most of the time is I only read books by male authors. I need to read some females. I don't mind when people say that, but when people say, oh, I read 75% women, that's great, and they move on, and I just feel like, but if it were the opposite, you would be very defensive, say, oh, I need to fix that. So I actively don't look at it. As I said, I find it sexist. I understand the role, not that much men are more likely to get a book published than a woman. I don't know if that's true anymore, gender-wise. I'm not talking about persons of colors and stuff like that. I'm just talking gender-wise. I don't know if that's the truth anymore. And yeah, I found that like the cringy, and that's a rant. I might actually cut it out. But I am really surprised that I'm almost 50-50 with male-female. I was convinced that I was going to be way over with male. As for the other statistics that are in the Bookriot spreadsheet, I do fill them in. Again, I don't really look an author up. Yeah, if we look at this, I do read more white than person of color, and I also read more unknown or straight person, because if I don't know, I will not dig through internet to be 100% certain that they are straight. Like, I don't do that. I don't see the point. But it's a toxic cesspit to read if someone is considered person of color or not, because the things you find, people going, oh no, she's not black enough, no, her father is white, therefore she's not a person of color, oh no, they are Asians, they don't count. Like, it's a cesspit. So I do fill it in from what I think or something like that. But since I go what I think the person look like, they might count as person of color, and I don't put them as a person of color because they don't look it. And yeah, as I said, it's a cesspit, and it is definitely important that different voices are heard. Absolutely. That's why I want to focus more on reading books and stories from people who comes from these places. So that's why I really want to find I need to read books from African writers, and I need to find some from South America. My issue is actually that South America, that was hard. I tried to find some for a readathon where you were supposed to read. It was the Tome Infinity and Beyond. That was a pain to find some science fiction or fantasy. It was a pain to find something because there was a lot of contemporary, but I don't like contemporary. So I'm not going to force myself to read contemporary just to fit it in, but I definitely want to increase that. But yeah, that's the itch. Let's scooch, let's fix the white balance. I have no idea because I did not even see my screen. Maybe I should do that more often. But yeah, that's the books, or that's the current situation with my goal, and that's also my statistic. That was a lot. See you next time. Bye.